So, another weekend, another weekends with Karthik. Thanks everyone who is tuning in. Um, I am playing around with some new tools and toys to improve the quality of streaming. For now, I'm playing around with this tool called a Detail, which sort of allows you to do a lot with the camera setup that you have. Um, on one hand, you can do really cool stuff like what you're seeing right now, where you can like add your titles to it. You can add different gradients and stuff like that to it. What it also allows you to do is also play around with like different cameras that you have, right? So I have this as my main camera. But what I can also do is like switch cameras. So I can actually switch to the camera on my phone. So if I do want to have like different shots, if I want to add more dramatic effects, I can do all of those things very easily. It's pretty cool as a tool. So I'm going to be playing around with this a bit. So I'm thinking that I will probably use two cameras interchangeably at some point. But for now, I do want to keep things very simple. So I'm just going to focus on the main camera and stream through that. But yeah, it is a new toy that I have. I was thinking, how in like the talk shows or in all the TV shows where they break the fourth wall and like talk to the audience. I think this could be like a cool like trick for that, where I'm doing my main show and everything here, and if I do want to give like a like a bit more of a context or just some additional thoughts, I can switch and then I can have a conversation on this camera and do that, and then switch back to this when I really want to get back into it. So yeah, just like a fun toy that I'm playing with. So this is a really nice tool. If you guys want to go check it out, you can go check out detail.co. They have a bunch of improvements that are going to be coming out to it. And the good thing is you don't really need too much. You just have this software and you don't really have to integrate it with any of the other tools. You can use this also for like a Zoom meeting or for like start a Google Meet. You just need to switch out the camera. So just how you just select a camera in the settings of any of these things. You just need to do that with this, and that's it. You're good to go. So yeah, that's not a paid plug, just a plug of Detail, which is a really cool toy that I'm playing around with. All right, so let's get into the crux of today. Where we left off last time was the whole thing of making NFTs, right? So I think let's jump onto that and then kick off the show from there. So this is where we left off the last time. We sort of understood what are the different kinds of NFTs that are out there, what kind of different digital art is possible to make, and from that I narrowed it down to the fact that I am particularly interested in making two kinds of art, right? One is a PFP art, which is like what we call a profile picture art, something that sort of have different attributes of, but something that you can use basically as a profile picture. I actually bought some cool NFTs over the weekend, which are PFP NFTs. Let me see if I can quickly share them with you. So I bought these three NFTs over the weekend. It's from a project called a Decentralians, DECENTERALIENS, Decentralians, which are these like really cool looking alien PFPs that we have. So I really I really dig this, right? It's like really nice artwork feel to it. So I bought these three. One of the cool things is, I think something that I like about NFTs, which is not what my NFTs is actually offering, which I maybe should think about now that I'm thinking about it, that I want NFTs to have more function than just a cool piece of art. So I think that's where I'm coming from, where I do want to be able to use NFTs as so these NFTs, they operate as an access pass, right? It's very similar to the other NFT that I bought the other day, which was uh, an access to a Discord channel called Anti. And Anti is where a bunch of like Web3 your sort of developers and your designers are all in there, and they're all just sharing their knowledge, talking about things. So that sort of offered you access to this, and this NFTs is also very similar to that, where they offer you access to something called Invisible the college, where they are making a lot of courses about Web3 and stuff around it. And this so holding sort of one of these gives you access to all the courses of the college. So it's basically like, instead of buying a subscription to a masterclass or to something like that, you're buying an NFT, and having that NFT gives you access to attend the classes that are going to be organized within this college. So for me, that is like a very fascinating thing about NFT. Is like, they have a utility. So of course you have the artwork, which is nice, something that you can use as a profile picture. Actually, this is currently the profile picture that I use on my Twitter. But then, in addition to just using it as a profile picture, you can also have utility where this is gonna offer you access to tools. So that's something that I would want to now think about my PFPs as well. I don't know what would that access be to. So I think that is something don't have it figured out, and I don't think I will have it figured out in the short time. But I can sort of like use this already and sort of add it into some sort of a roadmap, saying that, hey, the NFTs that I make, the PFPs that I make, the people who buy it, they will get some sort of an access to something in the future that I would make. It could be a web shop, or a web app, or a YouTube, like premium subscription, or just a club or a Discord channel where we will do things. I don't know what, because I don't think I have done enough, or I have enough expertise to sort of offer access to me as like as a result of these NFTs. But that is something I could think of going forward as to some sort of a utility that I can attach to it. Maybe the people who have these NFTs have access to a calendar of mine, where they can just book times with me as and when they want to. That could be something. So yeah, there are all sorts of ideas. But yeah, I think when I do put these NFTs out, I do want there to be a practicality to it, or a function to it, in addition to being a really, really nice piece of art. All right, so now let's go into, so what we defined the last time was the 5 attributes our NFT will have, which was body, face, hair, nose, and mouth. So yeah, I think we'll have to think about what other attributes we want this NFTs to have, or we're gonna just settle with these as the main one, because we do want to make a lot of them. And when we did the calculation a lot last time, you could actually get about 3625 of these, just with if you come up with 5 variation of each of these. So that's how we're gonna do it. This one is really nice, but you can see the amount of detail that's gone into making these NFTs. It's insane. The eyes are different. The head, the basic structure of the head is the same, but then there are different kinds of headwear, or sort of headgear that people can put on it. The body is different. You can have different kinds of armor and stuff like that in the body. The facial expressions are different. So yeah, so they've taken a basic thing, and then they're offering variations on these things. So yeah, something similar is what would happen to my NFT as well. Maybe it's good to keep these around for references. Let me just move these all to the PFP column anyways, because that's where the let's have them here. Let's think about how we want this to evolve. let's sort of open up each of them as like a thing of its own, right? I think the biggest thing for me to define would be the face. So if today by the end of the stream we can define the face and the body, I think that'll be good, the progress, because then the mouth, nose, and hair or headgear, now that I think of it, could be something that we can, that should be fairly easier once you have the body and the face defined. I'm thinking what's the right way to do it so that I can change these very easily. Thinking if I create it as a component, then I can make variants of it. I'm thinking if this is how this works. Phase 1. Property. Yeah, I need to get better at with the wear on it Figma as well. So what I'm saying is, let's say this one is a different shape. I should have copied them. What happens now? I think I should have just undo this to infinity. Nope. Okay, I'm just trying to think if I need to think of any way of creating it already so that I don't do double work. So I'm just thinking. So now I've made face as a component, right? So when I make something a component, what happens? Or should I just not even make it a component? Can it? Oh yeah, okay, now it's not a component. I'm gonna duplicate this. And now if I say this is a component, okay, and then I say there are variations of faces. So this is variant 2. Okay, so now when I have a face, now if somebody has to add a face, nice. So see, they can choose, as I can switch things very easily then. But then I shouldn't be doing this now. First I lock down on what's the face I want, like the basic background of the face, and then I work my way from, then I fix on that, and then I make 5 variants of that attribute, and that's what I will do with this. Makes sense? I think so. Alright, So undo. Just undo until it gets rid of the component. Yeah, cool. All right. So now the question is, do I just do the face in isolation? So yeah, I think that could be a better way of working on this. Can I make sub pages? I don't think it's possible to make sub pages, no? Yeah, no. No worries. So I have this. So I will group everything except face into a group and then focus on face. Maybe lock this guy. So how do you do it? I'm gonna use some pen and paper for this. See, this could be a good place to use. No, this could be a good place to use detail, where I can actually have my camera show you what I'm sketching. But I would need maybe some A4 paper. Let me just come back. Alright, let's see what's an easy way of doing this. So I have a sketch pad here. And I want to show you the. I don't have my tripod here with me. What can I keep this on? Cool. Give me some time to do some jugaad. All right, so I am back. Maybe it's good to have my MacBook camera on as well, so I can have that above this now. Perfect. So I've done some jugaad to make this work. I have this a camera sitting on top of a drum, which is looking down upon my thing. I should probably also turn on the light. Give me a second. Cool. So we are now trying to make faces. So let's think what kind of faces do we want to make, right? So this is my first NFT. I don't want to get stuck in the loop of like overthinking everything, making sure everything is perfect. I want to do things, right? I want to push things out. So I want to do a process from scratch to the end. So I want to do it once. I don't expect my first set of NFTs to look great, right? Like the if they look great means I spent way too much time on it than I'm supposed to. So right now the focus is to understand the process. That doesn't mean we just make shit. We will put our focus into making something nice, but I just don't want to spend months and months making it perfect. It's about doing it well enough so that we understand what the process is like, right? So this is the first NFTs we make, and if you understand the process from end to end by doing this, we can then go back and improve upon it and then make improvements on the fly, right? So that's more the approach that I like to take, where it's not just like where it's about doing things, right? Where there is a bias for action, so we do it, and then we say it instead of being those people who just sit and think about it, keep making it better and better, but then are never able to execute and like complete on things. So this year is the year of doing, so we will make things, right? With that said, let's see what faces make sense. What kind of face shape are out there, and maybe we'll open some inspiration around to sort of see what kind of inspirations we can find. But let's start with some basic shapes, right? So the most basic of shapes is that isn't what the most basic of shapes, but now that I think of it, it is making a nice mango shape. Mango shaped faces, not a bad idea. Why not? I think needs to be unique. Call them. Oh, nice! I thought of a great pun. Well, even though this was an accident, yeah, I'm just thinking, putting my thoughts out loud. So basically, mango in Hindi is known as aam. Aam is the Hindi word for mango, and aam in India also means common, right? So the Hindi word for a common is also aam. The Hindi word for like mango is also aam. So the common people in India are known as aam admi, right? So aam admi is what you will call the common people or the common folks of India, and there's that like the pun saying that, hey, you can also call them mango people, right? Because aam admi, mango people, it's sort of a weird pun, but given the whole silliness around NFTs, I think that's a good vibe maybe to go for just mango Aam mango people. So my NFTs could be called mango people, which to Indian audiences would mean Aam Aadmi. And then I can have different kinds of Aam Aadmis, right? um, Good idea, has potential. I do definitely want to explore it. And yeah, it's something that often happens to me when I'm brainstorming or thinking of ideas or coming up with stuff, is that I will have like the first idea, and then I'm really fall into like love with the very first idea, and then I just get very very stuck to it. So I should try not to do that. But yeah, it is a intriguing idea actually. So that means, can I zoom into my thing? Gotcha. Cool. Let me mull it around in my head a bit more. But then what I'm thinking is basically mango shaped faces. So I can actually make them all different kinds of mango, right? So there are different kinds of mangoes. So that could also be a really nice attribute, like because you have Alfonso, you have the Kesari, Badami, and all of these have like very different unique shapes. So I can actually have different shapes of this mango uh, on the basis of that, and they can have this nice yellow color to it. I can make it look really really pretty. And then what I'm thinking is that then you make faces on it, right? So those parts will follow. I can think of how do I want to make the face part of it. But when it comes to the basics, I can actually use that as a template, like using mangoes as a template to make different faces and make different face shapes. Oh, I really like this idea. uh, Now I just don't want to do any more brainstorming. I just want to stick to this idea and just make this. Cool. I think time to park it. But yeah, I think the good things about this idea is that different shapes, and I can imagine like a nice yellow face types. I think for me that's like a really nice attractive thing where they have this very distinct yellow gradients throughout things. The background can have yellow gradients. um yeah, I think you're like mango people or Aam Aadmi, I don't know what to call it. We can also call it Aam Aadmi and make it very focused. Mango people, Aam Aadmi. Yeah, I think it's fascinating. I do want to mull on it a bit more, but I think we are on to something with mango people. But going back to the drawing board, with what I was initially trying to do was just make an oval, right? The most common face type that there is. I don't know, how do they define it? They say, so you have this, you got your eyes here, you have the mouth somewhere here. So that's like the most common, and the most sort of a cartoony but still good way of showing it is with a rectangle, right? So you have seen Superman and all of those just have like square faces, or like Batman just have like square faces. So square, sorry, not square, rectangular faces. So rectangle is also something, is sort of a shape that can be used to depict a human face, right? So you get your eyes here. That is also something that can be used. I'm just trying to do the whole Picasso thing, right? Where you just take a thing and you so abstract it by each level. Do you know what I mean? Like you can add layers of layers of abstraction to see at what point is it. Like you no longer recognize it as a face. Do you know what I mean? So Picasso had this thing where he used to do these exercises where he'll just take something and he will abstract it, like layer by layer, until sort of like you don't know what it is. Abstract. So the reason Picasso's art looks very weird is because he used to do this like every layer by layer he'll abstract it. There was this really beautiful piece of art which I'm seeing if I can find very quickly, where he just takes one thing and he just sort of abstracts it layer by layer. So every a layer it becomes more abstract. What was it? I think it was like a person walking. Is the one he had abstracted. When you're looking for it, you don't see it. Oh, was it this descending the stair? I think that was one of it. Yeah, no, I don't know what it was actually called. Alright, anyways, I am digressing from what I was trying to say. So yeah, it's basically there is like a toggle between skeuomorphic and abstract. How do I show it? Skeuomorphism. I see this like nice illustrations all the time, and then I just cannot find it. Yeah, I think people also use it when it comes to logo design. When you want to look for it, you will never find it. That's one of those things. But I think what I'm trying to say is, how everything has like a toggle, right? You can sort of like toggle things between the two things. So, for example, let me think of something. Let's say an apple, right? So an apple, you can draw it in a really I'm doing a bad job of drawing it with a Sharpie, but you can actually draw it exactly how an apple looks, right? So you can actually give it the shading that it needs, make sure it's red. You can sort of you can draw an apple the way an apple would generally look like, right? So you can do that. You can actually make an apple look like an apple, right? So you can do that. You can give it all the shadows it would cast. So you actually draw an apple that looks like an apple. The other one, and on the other end of it is the abstraction of an apple, right? Like at what point would this be considered an apple as well? right? Even though it's a very intentionally flat design, at what point can I say, hey, this is also an apple, right? At some point of the abstraction, this will fail. And the idea is to push this abstraction to as much point as possible until it's just indistinguishable. So, of course, this is the Apple logo, and you know the reason why the Apple logo has a bite. A lot of people have like very weird, like theories about it. Like it represents different things. It represents Adam and Eve and stuff like that. But the reason why the apple actually has a bite is because that's what you need to show scale of an apple. I'm digressing again, but the point was, so yeah, when they did like a design the Apple logo, it originally did not have the bite, and then when you zoom out, like when you look at this logo like really like small, it looked like a cherry, right? So if I make this logo really small, and if I just do this, people didn't recognize this as an apple. They said, hey, this looks like a cherry. So they added the bite to show scale, right? So when you add a bite to it, then you're like, okay, this is a big fruit because that's a bite, because you will not ever get a bite like this out of a cherry. So now when I would draw the same thing but with a bite through it, now you will say, hey, that's an apple, because yeah, no way a cherry would have like such a big bite. So just by adding a bite, they're actually able to still keep the abstraction of an apple and make it look like a cherry, and make it like not look like a cherry. But like I said, again, I'm digressing. That's sort of how my thought process work. They go into different sort of tangents. But coming back to it, that sort of, so these spectrum is what we're trying to choose between, right? So on one hand, make a very skeuomorphic apple the way it's supposed to look, or on the other hand, you make something that's very very abstracted away from how an apple originally is, but then still make it look like it. And we're trying to do that now with faces, right? So I can draw a face that's very realistic to how a face is. I can draw the hair to be super realistic. Of course, none of this is realistic, but I'm just doing quick sketches to give you examples. And the nose is exactly how you expect the nose to be. The lips are exactly how you expect it to be. The ears are sort of perfectly shaped. So you have that. And on the other end of the spectrum, you will have something that's super abstract. Like you can just do this, and that's a face. You can do this, that's a face. Do this, that's a face, right? So people will recognize these both as faces. Of course, this is more detailed, and this is super abstract, right? And I would tend to go towards the abstract side of things. I really find that fascinating as to, because it sort of breaks down the stuff about something to its common cores, right? Like when does something become something? So you sort of try to break it down. So you sort of really break down, like when does a face become a face? Like what are the key fundamental attributes it needs to have for it to remain a face, right? Because a rectangle with two dots is a face, right? But just a rectangle is not, right? So this, what we'll say is the face until there's more of a context behind it. But this with two dots, yeah, like if you ask somebody what this is, they might say, hey, it's a face. So I find that aspect very fascinating. So I think that's definitely the aspect I'd want to explore when it comes to faces of this NFT, right? So let's just focus on the face shapes, and let's keep it as simple. I will draw a whole bunch of shapes and two dots for eyes, and then we'll figure out how to go on from there. So rectangles, what else can face look like? Very amoeba like face. um like really simple cubes, brick faces or Lego faces. Hmm. So now Twitter and everyone are giving people this. Is this like hexagram? Yeah, so they're giving people this like hexagram to define when you make a profile picture into an NFT profile picture. You get this hexagram. It's a hexagram, right? Or is it a pentagram? Let's see. Need to find someone who has it. Oh, there's. It is a 1, 2, 3. It's a hexagram. So Twitter has this hexagram profile picture. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me quickly show you. Why can't I bring this out here? Oops, because I was full screen. So basically you get this hexagon shape when you have a profile picture that's an NFT. They also give you information about the NFT. So you get this hexagon shape. So like normal people like me would have circular profile pictures, circle, circle, circle. But then when you have an NFT as a profile picture, you actually get hexagon shape as a profile picture, which could be a very interesting parallel for our profile pictures, is that it has a hexagonal face by default, right? And then that can explore the theme of how, because what this hexagon face, how hexagon profile picture is basically a flex saying that, hey, yo, I bought this NFT, I own this a rare NFT. So that's basically what it is trying to showcase. So to have a narrative around that, right? To have a narrative around that saying that, hey, we have this hexagon faced NFT. So it's sort of it's like a meta, a commentary on the fact that, hey, you're going to show your profile picture in hexagon shape to show that you're cool, and this is you in the real world, in the metaverse. You actually are walking around with hexagonal shape face instead of a normal face. So that could be a really, really good play into this whole thing where your face actually becomes hexagonal shape. Now that I think of it, that could also be a very, very interesting generative art concept where you actually take a picture of your face and we actually turn that into a 3D or even a 2D hexagonal face. So actually you can actually have a hexagonal face on top of your head floating. That could also be a really cool generative art project. But I like that concept a lot, actually. Now that I think of it, or the more I think of it, could be cool to sort of explore it that way, just hexagon and hexagonal shapes. More shapes. What are other nice shapes? Geometrically, yeah, like the squircles and all, like really pleasing shapes. Usually those could also be it. Could also be, what else has like nice face shapes, right? So like the aliens I have like this elongated oval shape where it's almost strong chinned. What else have faces? It's almost like strawberry face. What other interesting faces can there be? Mm, something can also be super abstract. I'm thinking if we can have a cloud face, or which is also like a thought bubble face, or text bubble face, right? Where we can be like, you are what you think, you are what you say, or you are what somebody else says you are, right? I am whatever you say I am. So it could be that, or it could be lightning face. What else are like good face concept? Open-minded. So an open, so a box which is open at the top could be an interesting face. Or open book, people say, right? Like I am like an open book. What are other interesting faces? Trying to think. Because now that I think of it, like getting the right face is almost like getting to the core of the project itself, right? Like if I pick the mango, so that becomes the theme, that becomes the story. If I pick the hexagon, that becomes a story. So yeah, now that I think of it, like picking the face is the most important aspect, and that's why I'm taking a lot of time in exploring it, because that will make or break it. I think, like picking the right could be like nostalgic, something. So basically, something that you want to represent yourself with, something that you're okay to you're something you want to associate yourself to. Yeah, thinking of like Tupperware boxes for some reason. I don't know how do you make Tupperware boxes. Lego is like one obvious thing, right? Like that's what I get from here as well. Like Lego boxes. I think Lego bricks could be a good one. What else is out there? I'm thinking of floppy disks for some reason. They have like there's something about them that can be made into a face. I feel like that silver thing they have there, the place to write stuff. Same with CDs, right? I think that's a good direction as well. Like the lost storage devices, like how we had floppies, we had CDs, and how they are like all like lost storage devices that people no longer use. You know what else is the USB? Doesn't USB have like a nice, almost like a face like thing? Like this is sort of like a face, right? So maybe a USB. They have this weird pattern on it as well. Yeah, that could be a nice one. So all of these lost storage devices that are now there. So yeah, so I'm seeing that there are like patterns. So that there's like nostalgic stuff, so just stuff from the past, and then there is like futuristic stuff. I think there's a lot of of like futuristic NFTs already out there, like cyberpunks and stuff like that are like futuristic. Even like the Decentralians, they talk about this cool tech stuff. I think people are fascinated by like both of these aspects. Some people are fascinated by more of a nostalgic approach to things, but some people are also fascinated by a more of a future or like future looking aspect to things. So I think they both are interesting approaches. So either invoke nostalgia or invoke a sense of futurism. And this one Indian artist, I think that guy could make some great NFTs where it's around Indian sweets. Now that I think of it, that could also be a great NFT project where you can actually have Indian sweets and their heads being like the profile picture. So for example, there is something called the Kaju Katli, which has like a diamond shaped head. So having that as NFTs, or you have jalebis, which are sort of like this spirally things. Those would make interesting. There's a lot of spherical food items as well. So yeah, those could be interesting. That could be a very interesting as one as well. And then I know this very specific artist who makes these artwork. Uh, there's one that he makes in particular which is very very fascinating. Let me see if I can find it. So basically, he made so it's called Buckamax, and they had this thing where they had made a. I find it. Yeah. So this is actually a very nice like comics for anyone who wants to go and and read it. Like the artwork in this is insane. Karajwa, it's called. It's by Varun Grover. Ankit Kapoor has illustrated it. It's edited by Sumit Kumar. So you should check it out for sure. But basically, there is a meteor hurling towards Earth, and there is this kid whose last whole thing he wants to do before end of everything is he just wants to eat this gulab jamun. I don't want to give spoilers, so I'm gonna quickly go through it. Oh wait, I realize I'm not sharing my screen. So it's this thing. How do I? Do you see it? Yeah. So this is the artwork. I will scroll up a bit again so you see what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's basically this artwork by Varun Grover, Ankit Kapoor, and Sumit Kumar. And they have this like super nice illustrations of Indian sweets. So that's basically what I'm trying to show you, which could be a good NFT stuff. So basically, the story is it's the end of the world, and there's this one kid who wants to eat Indian sweets, right? And this is the shit. So this is beautiful illustrations of different Indian sweets. So there is long lata, lal peda, kathal ka laddu, baas ka murabba. So there are all of these Indian sweets that they illustrate throughout this comics. See, so they do this fun thing. Right? This is what I was trying to talk about. There's Chasni, Suji, Doodh, they're all in a rock band. Just imagine these as like NFTs that you can just make your profile pictures. I think that's a very, very, very interesting project. So there is like kheer, rasgulla, doodh ki barfi, besan ka laddu, suji ka halwa. It's like such nicely done illustrations. And then there is the rasgulla, right? Like a pan of hot rasgullas. Like really, really neat illustration. So yeah, that's what I was trying to refer to. That could be a really neat illustration, but yeah, like I don't think I have the capability to like make such illustrations. So I don't want to do injustice to it because I think that's a really really great concept. So maybe at some point I will reach out to Ankit Kapoor was the illustrator. Yeah, like reach out to the to the illustrator. How do I go to top of this? And then reach out to Ankit Kapoor at some point and then ask him to help with this thing would be really cool. Just quickly checking out his portfolio here. Nice. Cool. So we have some really interesting ideas. Let's just think of one more and then we'll wrap for today. So we have 3 really strong concepts. The hexagon. No, we have 4 strong concepts now that I think of it. One more. Face. Buildings, are they good concept? Buildings, mountains. I want something that has a bit of poetry in it. Mountains could be a nice one. Mountains, how would that work? So you'll have these structures, then they will somehow have faces on it. Maybe river flowing through it. Could be interesting. All right, but yeah, I think we are on to something. I think we have 4 concepts that are really, really fascinating. So maybe I'm just gonna sleep on them and see which one we want to go to. I think I already have a favorite, but yeah, like I just don't want to pick the first idea off the bat. So I want to think about it, and if in a week from now I feel still strongly about that, I'll go with that. So the ideas that I like are the hexagon idea. I think that has a lot of potential for this meta commentary on how NFTs are being used as a status symbol. I really like this whole technology ideas. So like these 3 are part of that. That include this, and this. So really this old like nostalgic storage devices. And instead of saying technology as a whole, I'll only focus on storage devices with floppies, CDs, USBs. I can also go back to like VCR tapes or very old storage tech of the day. So that's the second one. The third one is the Indian sweets concept. I really like it, even though I'm not very confident if I have the artistic chops to give it justice. But yeah, that could also be just me being sort of like I don't know, why should I not be able to do it. So I think I will give it a crack at least. Like might not be as good, but maybe I can get it good if I just find some nice tricks around it and if I practice a bit. Because I really like that Indian sweets a concept as well. And of course, like the very first one which I had was the one with the mango thing. I think that's also a solid concept where it's just a mango face. I think I can make this one really, really well. It's also a lot of effort, but I think I know how to do it. Just gotta have these shapes, and then I'll have to make some sort of white stripes on it and maybe some freckles, and that should be it. And then I do have to work on the eyes, mouth and stuff like that, but I think those things I can work on. So yeah, I'm still feeling strongly about this. So that's the conclusion. Let me just make that on a separate page. So the 4 ideas we're focusing on. First one is the mango idea. The second one is the hexagon idea. Then there is the nostalgic storage devices idea. And then there is the Indian sweets idea. Cool. So I'm gonna go to bed with these 4 ideas, and then I am going to pick one of them as the idea that I want to focus on going forward. Cool. I feel strongly about it. I think we are on to something. So yeah. Thank you everyone who joined. I think this was a wonderful brainstorming. I think we're on to something exciting. So when we do come back next week, I would have picked a face, and then I need to make a decision. Do I just go and start building upon that face first before picking out the other attributes? Because they might depend on how the face itself is going to look. Is it going to look, is it going to be skeuomorphic, which is also a nice idea? Just take PNGs of like mangoes and like use that. Or is it gonna be very very abstract? Is it gonna be more like cartoony? So there are stuff that I need to think as to how to execute this. So yeah, I think I have some thinking to do. So we will do that in the next weekend's session, and then I think we should have made more of a progress. I don't have a timeline on this set particularly, but I think like every day we are gonna inch a step closer. So we decide on a phase next week and explore within that. So it's gonna have that diamond flow where we make decisions, and then within that decisions we make explorations. So that's where my head is at. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. I hope you have a good weekend, and I will see you next weekend, same time. Until then,